In this video lecture, we will go through concept of activation energy and activated complex, right? So let's first write activation energy, right, and activated complex, right? Now, as the word says, activation energy, activation means this energy will try to activate something, right? Now let's see what it will activate, right? Before we go ahead with the concept of activation energy, let's pose two questions. Let's write two questions, right? It has been observed that some reactions do not take place at room temperature, right? And the second thing that is observed is, even though the concentration of reactants is same in, let's say, two reactions, but the rate of reaction differs, right? And the first case that I said, that some reactions do not take place at room temperature, the example that we will take is the reaction between methane and oxygen, right? The reaction between methane and oxygen does not take place at room temperature, but when a lighted matchstick is introduced, the reaction takes place, right? Reaction will start occurring. What could be the reason? And we will explain both these observations in terms of activation energy, right? Why reaction between CH4 and oxygen does not occur at room temperature, right? The second is, even though the concentration of reactants is same, but rate of reaction differs, right? Now here I would also like to introduce one thing. We are aware of one reaction. That reaction between hydrogen and chlorine takes place in diffused sunlight. It does not take place in dark, right? So reaction between hydrogen and chlorine takes place in diffused sunlight, and not in dark, right? And if you know this reaction, in diffused sunlight the reaction takes place, but when it's open sunlight, right, then the reaction explosively takes place, right? Now we will answer these things or explain these things in terms of activation energy. We have already gone through collision theory of reaction rates. Collision theory of reaction rates states that the reaction between two reactant molecules will take place only if those reactant molecules possess energy equal to threshold energy, right? Then only their collision would be effective collisions, right? So as per collision theory, reaction takes place on collision when reactant molecules possess ETH, energy equal to threshold energies. That means, since we said that reaction will occur, when we say reaction will occur, reactants will get transformed into products, right? Only when reactant molecules will possess energy equal to threshold energy, which means when collision, only those collisions would be effective collisions when the reactant molecules will possess energy equal to threshold energy, right? If these are reactant molecules A and B, when collision between these two reactant molecules takes place and a product is forming, then these two reactant molecules possess energy equal to threshold energy, right? Now let's see what is your activation energy. We know that if this is a reaction that is taking place, right, these reactant molecules A and B, these reactant molecules, doesn't matter what kind of collision is taking place, whether it's effective or ineffective collision, all reactant molecules possess energy, some minimum energy of their own, which is the energy of the reactants. Let's say that, let ER be the energy of reactant molecules, right? So these reactant molecules will undergo effective collision, because we know only on effective collision product will form, right? So these reactant molecules, these will undergo effective collisions when energy of reactant molecules is equals to your threshold energy, right? When these colliding molecules, right, will possess energy equal to threshold energy, then only they will undergo effective collisions and will form products, right? Now what about those reactant molecules that do not possess threshold energy, right? Or we can write it like this: for those reactant molecules, whose energy of reactants, let's say ER, is less than ETH, right? So these reactant molecules, when their energy is less than threshold energy, they will undergo ineffective collision which will not form any products, no products, right? Ineffective collisions will not form products because the energy of the colliding molecules is less than the threshold energy, right? So these would be ineffective collisions. These reactant molecules simply collide and will bounce back, no reaction. Now, to make energy of these reactant molecules equal to threshold energy, we need to supply some energy, right, to these reactant molecules in the form of heat or light, right? When you supply energy to these reactant molecules in the form of heat or light, their energy would become equal to threshold energy, right? That is, ER will become equal to ETH, right? So the extra amount of energy supplied, right, to make ER is equals to EH would be called as activation energy. So what it is doing, it's activating these reactant molecules so that they can undergo effective collisions and will form products, right? So we will write some extra energy needs to be supplied to those reactant molecules sorry to those reactant molecules whose energy, that is, whose energy denoted by ER is less than threshold energy, ETH, right? That is, in this case, ER is less than ETH, right? So this energy this energy, this extra energy, it's right, this extra energy is called as activation energy, right? This is known as activation energy, denoted by EA, right? So we write, so what is your threshold energy? Threshold energy would be energy of the reactant molecules ER plus your activation energy, denoted by EA, right? So ETH would be equal to ER plus EA, right? This is your threshold energy is equals to energy of reactant molecules plus activation energy. This is only for those reactant molecules that possesses energy less than threshold energy, right? So to make their energy equal to threshold energy, we will supply energy to it in the form of heat or light, right? So when now the energy of the reactant molecules become equal to the threshold energy or more than threshold energy after supplying activation energy, right? Energy equal to activation energy. When these now when these molecules will undergo collision, right? They will undergo fruitful collision or effective collision and will form products, right? So we say that rate of reaction will increase on supplying energy equal to activation energy, right? So activation energy will increase the rate of reaction, right? And we also know that on increasing temperature the rate of reaction increases, right? Because when we increase temperature, the molecules that are undergoing ineffective collisions, they will reach to the level of threshold energy on increasing temperature and will form effective collisions and form products, thereby increasing the rate of reaction, right? So therefore we'll write activation energy will increase reaction rate, right? Now from this explanation, one thing is clear, that reactant molecules that possess energy less than threshold energy, they have to cross one energy barrier, right? So after they cross that energy barrier, only they would be able to change into products, right? So there we have a factor. We have discussed this in collision theory also. There is a factor energy barrier, right? So reactant molecules have to cross this energy barrier, right, to form products, right? To form products. So this is important, energy barrier. Now let's understand one more thing, that suppose this is a reactant, right? These are reactant molecules, right? So when you supply energy to it, right, when you supply energy to these reactant molecules, right, these reactant molecules will absorb that energy, right? And before they change into products, an intermediate would be formed, right? When they absorb energy, right, so what they will form is, this is the kind of intermediate, we call it as intermediate, that will get formed. This is an intermediate complex, right, that gets formed. In this intermediate state, in this intermediate, the bond between A and B will get loose and the bond between A and B is getting formed. I repeat, the bond between AA and BB is getting broken, right? The bond, or we say the bond between AA and BB will get loose, right? Or will become weak, and the bond between AB will start forming, or a loose bond will form between AB and AB, right? And this state, right, this state is known as activated complex. This is your activated complex when the reactant molecules will absorb energy, right? They will become high with energy, right, and will form activated complex. In activated complex, the bond between reactants is getting loosed and bond between products will also loosely form, right? Since the bond between reactants will be finally broken when products would be formed, so the reactant bond between reactant molecules, that is AA and BB, will be loose. Again, since the bond between product would be AB in this case, so the bond between products AB would also be loose because they are in the process of forming, right? So in this activated complex, bond between reactant molecules is in the process of dissociation, and the bond between products, which would be AB, is in the process of forming, right? So finally this activated complex will break, will dissociate, because this activated complex is full of energy. It will dissociate to form AB, right? So when the bond, this activated complex will break to form product, since this activated complex is full of energy, so energy would be released, right? Plus energy would be released when this activated complex will break. So this energy released, right, and here energy is absorbed by reactant molecules, right? If energy released is more than energy absorbed, we say net energy is released, right? So the reaction is your exothermic reaction. And if the energy released is less than the energy absorbed by the reactant molecules, so the reaction we will say would be endothermic, because the net energy is absorbed, right? So here two cases. This activated complex will dissociate to form product, right, with the release of energy, right? And if energy released is less than energy absorbed, right, if energy released is less than energy absorbed, so we say net energy is absorbed, right? So this is your endothermic reaction, right? In this case, since less energy is released, so the energy of products, right, would be more than the energy of reactants, right? And in the second case, when in case of exothermic reactions, when net total energy released is more than the energy absorbed, we say that the energy of products, right, would be less than the energy of the reactants, and in that case we know that delta H is negative enthalpy, heat of chemical reaction. So the second case is if energy released is greater than the energy absorbed, then we have exothermic reaction, right? So in this case, energy of products would be less than the energy of reactants. If final energy is less, then we have delta H is equals to negative, and here since energy released is less than energy absorbed, here delta H would be positive, right? Now we will represent the same in graph, right? So from all these explanation, we can answer these questions: why reaction between methane and oxygen does not takes place in room temperature, and when a matchstick is introduced, the reaction will start taking place? The answer to this question is, at room temperature, when no matchstick was introduced, the energy of the reactant molecules is less than the threshold energy, right? And when the matchstick was introduced, right, the molecules methane and oxygen absorbed energy, right? And when they absorbed energy, their energy became equal to threshold energy or more than threshold energy, right? So they have received their activation energy to make their energy equal to or greater than threshold energy, and they will start reacting, right? And since we know that reaction between methane and oxygen is an exothermic reaction where heat energy is released, right? So the reaction will continue because of the heat energy released, because the heat energy that is released by the reaction will activate rest of the molecules of methane and oxygen, right, thereby continuing the reaction or progressing the reaction. And the second is, even though the concentration of reactants is same but rate of reaction differs, right? So in this case, the second one is, suppose we have two reactions. In one case, two reactions where the concentration of reactants is same. In one case the reaction is faster, in the other case the reaction is slower. What could be the reason? It's again, if we look into these energy parameters, in the case where reaction is slow, the reactant molecules have energy less than threshold energy, right? More molecules, or majority of the molecules, have energy less than threshold energy, right? So their activation energy, we say, is high. The reactions that are slow reactions, their activation energy is high. Why? Because their ER would be, if ER is less, then we have to supply them more energy, which is your activation energy, because the extra energy which is supplied, right, to reactants so that their energy becomes equal to threshold energy, we call it as activation energy, right? So the reactions that are slow, their ER would be less, right? So we have to supply them more EA, that is more activation energy, to make their energy equal to ETH. So we say the reactions that are slow reactions, they have high activation energy, whereas if a reaction is fast, for fast reactions, by fast reactions we mean that more reactant molecules have energy equal to threshold energy, or their ER is high. When their ER is high, that means we have to supply them less extra energy, right, so that their energy becomes equal to threshold energy, right? So reactions that are fast reactions, their activation energy is less, right? So for fast reactions, EA is less, right? And for slow reactions, EA is high, right? So in case of reactions that are slow, their activation energy is high, right? And for reactions that are fast, their activation energy is low. So for the second question, we say the reaction that is slow, in that case more reactant molecules have energy less than threshold energy, so they are slow. And for reactions that are fast reactions, or compared when we compare these two reactions, the reaction which is fast, they have more reactant in that reaction, more reactant molecules have energy more than or equal to threshold energy, right? And the third question is the reaction between hydrogen and HCl. Hydrogen plus chlorine will react in the presence of sunlight to form 2HCl, right? Whereas in dark, no reaction, right? In presence of diffused sunlight, hydrogen and chlorine will, this sunlight will provide energy to hydrogen and oxygen, right? So hydrogen and oxygen will gain energy, thereby making their energy of reactant molecules equal to or more than threshold energy. When their energy would become equal to or more than threshold energy in the presence of sunlight, they will start reacting and will form product HCl. Whereas in dark, there is no energy, right? There is no source of energy for hydrogen and chlorine in dark. So their energy of reactant, which is ER, could not become equal to ETH, which is threshold energy. So no activation energy in dark, so no reaction. And in diffused sunlight, hydrogen and chlorine will absorb energy equal to threshold activation energy, and will make their energy equal to threshold energy after absorbing activation energy equal to activation energy, right? So that is why reaction takes place in diffused sunlight. And since we said, if we draw a graph, right, if we draw a graph like this, between x-axis will represent progress of reaction, right, and y-axis will represent your energy, or we call it as potential energy, right? Initially, when energy is here at this point for reactants, let's say they have to move here, right? These reactant molecules, say here energy is ER, right? This energy is ER, so they have to make their energy equal to ETH, right, to form products. So if we draw a graph, it will look like this. It will look like this, right? Right, since this is, let's just take it, I'll just write it a little above. This is your ETH, threshold energy. This is your energy of reactant molecules. So how will you represent threshold energy? Activation energy. Extra amount of, this is the energy of the reactant molecules. If reactants have to reach to this stage, so this is the extra amount of energy, EA, that you have to supply, so that the ER will become equal to EH. So this extra amount of energy is your activation energy, right? And this is a hump, right? These are your reactants and these are your products, and this is a hump between reactants and product, right? So the products have to cross this hump in order to change the products. And how will they cross this hump? By absorbing energy equal to activation energy. Once they absorb energy equal to activation energy, they will cross this hump and they will change into products. This is your products. And since we said that in exothermic reaction, the energy of products would be less than the energy of the reactant, so your graph will end here like this. This would be the energy of products, right? So this is energy of products in case of exothermic reactions, and this is the energy of reactants, right? Since this is less than this, right, final energy, this is less than this energy of reactants, so we say delta H is negative, right? And if I take the second case, let's quickly draw this. This would be like this, right? Here, this is your, if this is your ER, right? In case of endothermic reaction, when activated complex will dissociate to form products, right? If less energy is released than energy absorbed, right? So here it would be energy of the products would be higher in that case, right? So in that case, it would be here. The graph will end here for endothermic reaction, and your delta H would be positive, right? Your graph will end here, right? This is EP, energy of products would be here, energy of reactants is here, which is less than energy of products, right? So energy of product is higher, so delta H would be negative.